I extend a very warm welcome to all of you who have made the time to join us this evening for our webinar on our postgraduate diploma in intellectual property rights law. Thank you very much for being here, and we hope this session is beneficial for everybody who has joined. I'm joined today by my colleagues. Firstly, Professor Dr. T. Ramakrishna, who is also the program coordinator for this program. Professor Ramakrishna has over 40 years of teaching and research experience and has been a pioneer in the field with several research publications and presentations under his name. We are very fortunate that he's able to join us this evening to interact with you all, take you through the course outline, and also we will have some time at the end of the webinar for some open questions and answers. So we will be there with you. I'm also joined by my colleague, Ms. Sushila Suresh, who is a facilitator in the department. She has been in the department for over a decade now and has many useful insights to share. And my name is Apurva Gupta. I am the assistant coordinator in the department, and I will be very happy to facilitate this webinar. Some logistical announcements before we go. You can leave your queries in the chat message if you have any questions, and you can also later on raise your hand on Zoom and ask your questions verbally. When you write your queries in the chat box, please make sure you send it to everyone and not just to one of us for your queries to be answered. So before we begin with the introduction about the program as such, I also thought it is a good opportunity to take you through the course, through NLSIU's brief introduction. So NLSIU was actually the first law university to be established in India in 1986. And it was actually set up with a mission to pioneer legal education reforms and to anchor the transformation of the Indian legal system through research and policy interventions. For over 60 years now, for over 30 years now, the institution has maintained leadership in the field of law, and we've also sustained many national and international rankings, including the recently concluded National Institutional Rankings Framework, NIRF, which has also ranked us #1 in the field of law. We are also very proud to have an exceptionally high achieving group of alumni who have furthered NLSIU's mission in various legal in the legal field, but also other various fields that they've chosen to be a part of. Let me also briefly introduce the department to you. So the Department of Distance Education was established to take forward one of the foundational missions of the university, which is to make education more accessible for everyone. Therefore, the department intends to serve those who are unable to come to campus physically, and we make the best education in law available to them from the comfort of their homes. So our programs are designed to be hybrid and to facilitate self-paced learning. They are designed to expand your knowledge of the law and to critically engage with different legal systems and the contemporary issues in the field. There is a lot of scope for interdisciplinary study. Hence, most of our programs are carefully curated to focus on one topic. And you are, of course, taught by some of the leading minds in the country. Professor Ramakrishna is with us today, and he's one of them. For those of you who are looking to progress in your career or to be leaders in your field, this is a great opportunity for you to explore our programs. We attempt to have an inclusive approach in our admissions and in curating our cohorts for these programs. Therefore, people from all age groups and all backgrounds are welcome, and graduates from all disciplines are eligible to apply as long as they have an undergraduate degree from a recognized institution. You will also have access to an outstanding alumni network of DED alumni who have impacted various fields and who are working in some of the leading companies in the field. So this will be a great opportunity for you to learn and meet with them as well. So with that, I will hand over to Professor Ramakrishna to briefly introduce himself and the course. Sir?
Yeah, thank you, Apurva. That was a very interesting background that you gave, both to the institution as well as the Department of Business Education. Well, friends, let me just introduce myself to you. As Apurva said, I have been in this particular field of teaching for the last 4 decades. My area of focus has been intellectual property rights. There are at least 3 different research centers in our law school. One is the Intellectual Property Rights Chair instituted by the Ministry of Industries and Commerce of the Government of India, right, which has quite a few research associates, and research activities are going on through this, number one. And number two, we have a Center for Intellectual Property Rights Research and Advocacy, which has been functioning for the last, I should say, more than 2 decades, started in 1999. And then, friends, we also have a separate institute called an Institute of Excellence on IPR and standards, right, which has been functioning for the last 6 years. The outcome of the research activities of these particular organizations or these centers is this particular diploma. This diploma is the outcome of that. We started this diploma way back in 2003, and this is perhaps the 18th batch if you are all getting admitted to this. Over a period of time, we have modified, keeping pace with the development that have been happening, and the latest that are there in the field are being brought in, both in the form of modules as well as the classroom lectures. Put it briefly, what is that this particular course offers? Very briefly, I have pointed out, I'm not going to the details at this stage. It provides a thorough grounding, as you can make here, in the field of IPR. It exposes candidates to the international regime of IPR. That means the international regime consisting of at least 25 treaties administered by the WIPO, 1 treaty administered by WTO, a treaty administered by FAO, UNESCO. Right? These are all aspects which gets covered, though not in detail, at least in every part of the IPR courses which will be covered. You're also going to get exposure to the policy framework as to why this particular piece of legislation is in existence, why this particular principle has got itself reflected in a particular legislative provision. Also, developments in other jurisdictions will also be a focus. We are going to cover emerging issues as we progress. For example, in case of patenting, pharmaceutical patenting is one such issue. Biotechnological inventions also have posed problems to the patent office. Commercialization is another aspect. So, technological protection measures, especially when it comes to the question of copyright law. What developments have happened in the field of technological protection measures? Similarly, ownership of the IPR, different IPRs, licensing of these IPRs, in particular licensing of new media content. So there are also issues relating to internet streaming, intermediary liability, then IPR protection for the software, whether copyright protection should be there, patent protection should be there, and what is the development that have happened in different jurisdictions. And also for creations of AI, that is an emerging issue. This one would equip candidates to have a clear understanding of different categories of IPR, like law of copyrights, trademarks, patents, designs, geographical indications. Would you also get exposure to the filing of IPR? I would say answer is yes, because the entire process of prosecution of a patent application, including the drafting of the specification, the methods of drafting, candidates are trained. How do you file this and how do you prosecute the application for the patent office? Then, of course, licensing and assignment, and understand also how IPR portfolios can be protected, commercialized. One specific aspect that you find here is that the approach in the course is both international and comparative. Definitely you get exposure to the Indian position, but getting exposure only to Indian position might not help you in thoroughly understanding the jurisprudence developed in case of certain principles. So from that perspective, we are looking at it from international and comparative, going through specific jurisdictions, specifically the US, UK, and European Union jurisdictions. More than that, friends, you will have almost 1 year, right, space, and you will have sufficient time to organize yourself, right, in this particular. Can I go to the next? Apurva? Yeah, friends, broadly, in case there are any queries, I'm going to explain you. Most of the students or candidates who join diplomas, whether it's diploma in IPR or any other diplomas, might not have had exposure to the law and legal systems. So we thought that let us introduce them to the law and legal systems, starting from the constitutional foundation to the different legislative frameworks and civil as well as criminal law and enforcement of these laws. So that the moment we get into the IPR statutes, candidates will be familiar with those processes. Therefore, they will be able to appreciate the legal framework surrounding patents in addition to how it functions in the commercial world. So therefore, the first paper would be Introduction to Law and Legal Systems. Then the second paper is on Law of Patents. This particular Law of Patents starts with the philosophical foundations, historical background, developments, criteria for patentability, and the whole process for prosecuting and grant of patent in India as well as the European Patent Convention, but also the PCT processes. There's an international application process will also be explained. As I told you, the drafting process, etc., would be covered in that particular aspect. Then, of course, the other rights and how these rights are enforced, infringement, remedies would be covered under patents. And a law of copyrights, friend, that is starting from, as I told you, international developments, then the foundation principles. So for anyone to appreciate and apply the law, you will have to have a firm conceptual clarity. So we start with those basic concepts underlying patent, underlying copyrights. For example, idea, expression, dichotomy. With that we start and then identify as to what are the copyrightable subject matters. Proceed, cover all aspects starting from authorship, ownership, assignment, licensing, then the rights, different rights, both in the digital and the non-digital context, circumvention of the technological measures, then infringement, and the most important one is anti-circumvention laws, plus the fair use defenses. And the designs as well, we will be covering position in India, US, UK, right? Along with, of course, international framework. Law of trademarks is the next paper, trademarks and geographical indications. Under this, right, again, the whole background, keeping in mind the development that are happening in different jurisdictions and how the Indian legislative framework has been functioning. Registration of trademarks, process of registration of trademark, and the law relating to assignment, licensing, law relating to passing off, infringement, right? Remedies, including the common law remedy of passing off would be discussed here. We also get into how the trademark gets protection in the digital context. For example, the domain name dispute, keywords, meta tags, all this should be covered under law of trademarks. And the emerging one is geographical indications, friends. People keep saying, if the new invention gets patent, our ancestors' invention would get geographical indications, right? Whatever reputation they have, right, been able to add to those goods, they come in handy, and this geoauthentication protection is given. There again, we are going to examine international positions as well as the Indian position. As on date, we have around 370 registered GIs. Let me also mention at this particular stage, when I said these discussions reflect the research being done from our center. Our center was selected by several states, including the state of Jharkhand. And in Jharkhand, we were able to do an extensive research for categories of GIs. And we filed a GI, and first GI for Jharkhand has been registered. And that registration is due to our center's facilitation. We have a research team stationed in Ranchi, which has been working. And perhaps in another 3-4 months, we're going to file another 13 or 14 GI applications. So our experience flows from this particular research. Last, friends, to facilitate people who are in the specific field to write effective thesis, we have the dissertation module, that's 5th paper. We are going to identify some 80 to 90 topics. And if the candidate is comfortable with any of those topics, you can straight away pick up that particular topic, do research, and submit a thesis, right, or a dissertation. It may so happen that some of you who are working in specific field would like to work and do research in the specific field. And you may feel sometimes that it is not listed in the 80 and odd topics. You are again free to contact the office, inform them that you want to change the topic, and the course coordinator, if he finds that this is within the framework of IPR, he would permit you to work on that. So you are free there. That's the backdrop, friends. Who is this particular course for then? To whom, and what is the outcome that you're going to get? You find here, graduates from this particular program are equipped in all these fields. One is the leadership positions in the media, entertainment, pharma, software, and other technology-centered industries. You'll be surprised that you will find our alumni from PGTI PR in all these sectors occupying very, very important positions. It also strengthens efficiency in traditional business, which leverage IPR, right? For example, FMCG, biotechnology, engineering conglomerates. Right? If you're working in different capacities, but if your organization is leveraging IPR, your knowledge of IPR that we gain from this particular course is going to strengthen you, plus also render you much more efficient than what you are. In decision making as well, and leadership positions in any industry that leverages IPR, right? It also could be in the field of new media, in the field of technology, or brand promotion. I can name quite a few people who are in the marketing department of multinational corporations who took up this, and then they feel that they'll be able to effectively advise their organization on what kind of trademark protection that they can get in any specific jurisdiction. Similarly, if you are advocates, you will be able to specialize and sharpen skill sets in IPR litigations. And hence, you must be knowing that in India, as well as in all the jurisdictions, patent applications can be prosecuted only through patent agents. And to be a patent agent, you should be a science graduate or from technology background. And he will have to give an examination called a patent agent examination, which is due now. Mostly another 2 months it's going to come. And candidates who have completed this particular course, especially paper 2, patent law, we have found that it was very, very easy for them to qualify in the patent agent examination. Similarly, trademark agent examination. Right? This is broadly who would be benefited by this particular course. The faculty members. See, I need not tell about myself. Apurva already has mentioned that. We have a very senior IPR attorney, Mr. Hari Krishna Holla, who has been teaching for the last 1 decade to these batches. He teaches mainly the trademark practices, etc., etc. And a very rich experience, and his practice is IPR only. Good that he is bringing his practical experience into the field. Next, we have, see here, the three, right, attorneys. They have experience in US. They're all, at least two of them are graduated from US universities. They have worked in US with the US IP firm, and they have excellent skill sets, both in terms of prosecution, in terms of drafting, in terms of commercial exploitation. And the good thing is that all of them come from different fields. The first one has a strong law background, right, with IP background. And the second one has a strong life science background, right, with life sciences background. She was an in-house counsel sometime. And the third one has a strong engineering background. And he has been working for the IP US patent firm and also United. So this is the strength that we have. And quite often, right, we also would be inviting people who are experts in this particular field in other jurisdictions to interact with our students. That is the faculty strength that we have here. That's briefly, friends, about the course outline. I think we should give you a little more time. This is, I think I have already mentioned you about this. Where do you find our alumni of PGT IPR? Senior in-house IP counsels. You go to any of the multinational corporation, at least I know Bangalore, they have an IP, IHIP, what's called as IHIP, in-house IP counsels organization. And almost all the office bearers of this organization, plus many members, are alumni of this particular diploma. Look at any IPR law firm. That's our strength. They started their IPR firm 15 years back, and that has grown like anything, both nationally and internationally. So therefore, you find managing partners, associates in most of the IPR law firms, both in India and abroad. Of course, IPR attorneys are there, independently practicing. Quite a few patent agents have become our candidates here. Business administrators, you can find a large number. Senior administrators in industries, GI facilitators. And today morning, in fact, I was reading the newspaper that the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka was happy in launching some 6 innovative products relating to COVID. And you find it comes from Bangalore Innovation Center, right? The person who heads that particular organization, who is responsible for this, is an alumni of this particular PGDI. So every day when I read in the newspaper about these people, we also feel proud. Perhaps one day we also feel proud about you. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking us through the course in such great detail. We will now take some questions. Before I unmute some of you, may I make some logistical announcements? If you have to ask a question that you want sir to reply to, or you want one of us to reply to, please raise your hand on Zoom. There is a raise hand button on Zoom. Just click on that, and turn by turn, we will unmute you.
Yeah, hi everybody. My question is, you mentioned that there will be a supplementary exam and a final exam, and that the supplementary exam will be in December and the final exam will be in June. So I just wanted to understand that, can I take both the exams online, or do I have to take the final exam at one of your centers?
So, so far, our exams were only being conducted at our centers. However, this time, owing to the pandemic, we are conducting exams online. And we hope to continue offering our candidates both the options to appear for exams online as well as offline from the next year. So that is being explored at the moment. Hope that answers your question.
One more, Purvaji, the remaining question I'll answer.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, the next question was, can you appear for the supplementary exam as well as June exam? Yes, you can, but not for this December exam. You will be eligible to appear for the exam in next June. And in case if you are not able to appear for the June exam, in the subsequent December exam, you can appear.
Ashish, please go ahead and ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, good evening and thank you for the information. My question is that what will be the kind of engagement? Will it all the sessions, will it be pre-recorded or something like a live session right now? How are the classes going to be?
So they will be live classes, both in person and online. We have been arranging contact classes for these programs all these years. So if you're able to travel to campus, you can come to campus to attend those classes. But from this year, we will also have some of the classes available online. So you are able to see some of those may be recorded as well. Some other interactional material might also be available online. And none of this is mandatory. This is all optional. So you can create your own pace around the course and how you want to proceed.
Yeah. So that precisely about the contact class. I am based out of Hyderabad and I don't think I'll be able to kind of travel. So I think that it won't be an issue is what I hope.
Yes, there will be online classes as well. And if you have some doubts or need clarifications, that consultation support can also be provided.
Okay, thank you.
So there's one more question about the dissertation, and I think Sir went over it in some detail. There will be a workshop on dissertation, how to write a dissertation if you have not done that in the past, or if your prior education has not required for you to do that. Apart from that workshop, there are some topics mentioned in the course material that is given to you, which are pre-decided. You are free to choose one of those 18 to 20 topics as Sir shared. And if there is another topic that you're keen to work on, you can submit that request for permission from the program coordinator, which in this case would be Sir. And if approved, you can go ahead and pursue that topic as well. Okay, Niranjan and Nagaraja sir has raised their hand again. Let me try to unmute them and see if it works this time.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, Niranjan. Do you have one more question?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am. I have some internet issues.
Yes, please go ahead and ask your question.
Ma'am, my question is actually I have sent my application. So is it fine? Can I pay my payment tomorrow? Do my payment tomorrow?
Yes, you can. There is a question about campus placements. We do not have campus placements. We don't do placements at all. However, throughout the course, you are given an opportunity to explore the different fields that you can possibly look at. You will also hear from some alumni. So we hope that the journey through the course will itself enable you to access better job opportunities.
My question is, so exams will be in the month of June next year, and you said that this time it can be online as well. I believe the exams will be subjective. So will it be any change in the exam pattern, or like I would like to hear about the exam, how it will be, the papers and all.
So like I mentioned that until now they have been subjective. We do want to retain a structure within which we test the knowledge of the students in a manner in which we know that they have learned enough to take it forward in their career. But we are also at this stage exploring if we can modify the pattern to include both subjective and objective parts.
Okay.
There's a question about alumni. Yes, you may not meet the alumni physically, some of you might, but there will be forums within which you can interact with them. We are also in the process of forming a group or a professional network on spaces like LinkedIn and Facebook, where you can mutually connect and explore opportunities where you can learn from their experience. Contact classes, the ones which are held physically, are all held on our campus in Bangalore. And the examination centers, I think that query, we've tried to answer that in the chat box, but I'll just repeat it. The examination centers to sit for physical exams are in Bangalore, Delhi, Pune, and Kolkata. Yes, you will receive all the information on email and also SMS from time to time. There is a student portal called Edchemy that all of you will have access to. So you will have your accounts and all the information there that you can upload and download. I mean, upload in terms of anything that you want to send us, but most of the course material can be downloaded from there.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I would like to know whether this post-diploma program is equal to the LLM which we are doing, or is it somewhat near to the LLM program?
It's not equivalent to LLM program. It's a diploma course.
So, sir, I just wanted to know that if I am practicing in IPR, will this help me in my practice, or do I need to go ahead with the LLM program again to have a in-depth knowledge of IPR?
That question I think sir can answer.
Yeah. See, with this particular exposure, I'm sure you'll be able to gain skill sets in pursuing litigation in IPR. However, sky is the limit, right? When you get into practice, the kind of issues that crop up, right, might require further research by you. So it prepares you for the litigation. It prepares you for patent prosecution, patent litigation. Similarly, it prepares you for trademark prosecution, copyright prosecution, and then litigation.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the answer.
Pooja, there's a question you are asking whether this diploma course is considered as any law degree equivalent. I'm not sure what do you intend to ask with that question, because a BA LLB degree holds its own importance, which is necessary for anybody seeking to practice, and LLM is another specialization. And these diploma courses are specific to a field. So if you are looking to progress further in the field of IPRL, then definitely it would help you. But I don't think saying that all these courses are equivalent is fair right now.
Good evening. My name is Khyati, and I have a specific question related to procedural aspect of the law. So knowing law is one thing, and Professor, I wanted to know that would we get the opportunity to know how exactly trademark office or patent office examines the particular design or like a patent we are applying for? Because I think I did learn IPR a little bit, but when I started working with the firm and I realized that there are a lot of procedural aspect which we need to know in order to successfully file either a trademark or patent. So and you mentioned about various research center associated with NLS and who is helping the governments to file it. So would we get the opportunity to learn the practical aspect as well? Or is it something related to confidentiality towards the government or the projects?
No. As far as procedure is concerned, right, in the course of delivering the lectures, the concerned faculty members will take you through the entire process, because they themselves, day in and day out, have been filing applications and prosecuting applications with the IP officers. So they know the practical problems, right? And the entire process that they undergo, they're going to impart that knowledge to you.
Yes.
As I told you, quite often, we are also going to invite people from the IP offices, at least for some special lectures.
Right. Yeah, that pretty much solves my concern. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you.
I mean, just adding to that, most of these courses are kept in mind, are designed keeping in mind that a lot of professionals take this course. So the attempt is to have them be application oriented. They are practice based. So there is enough discussion in the class on application of a particular concept or a law. So this is like in general, I wanted to share in addition to what sir had shared as a response to Khyati's question.
Thank you, Apurva. Thank you.
So there's one question from Rumeli that she would like to join the physical classes. We are very hopeful that we will be able to organize them once the pandemic is over. And you are welcome to join those in Bangalore on our campus. They are usually held once a month over a weekend. So those of you who want to travel, you're very welcome to do that. This is a PG diploma, postgraduate diploma that you will earn if you complete the course successfully. This is in answer to a query that has just been sent to me. Yes, all of you will receive an ID card once you are admitted. The admit card would be automatically generated. All this information will be available on your student portal, and you will also receive a confirmation email from the department. Yes, you have access to some resources from our e-library, and if you want to request additional resources, you can write to us and we can help facilitate that. Classes will begin in September. The session starts in September this year. Sonali Singh.
Yeah, hi, good evening. My question is, I
Yes,
have
go ahead.
received confirmation email since I paid the fees and everything. The documents also received by you. So I just wanted to know at which portal we can access the online study material. Since there's just only one website, if I mean, there's just only one login which I had till now where I submitted this online application. So at there only we can find the study material. Is there anything else?
Yes, you can find the study material there itself. Once the class starts, we'll start uploading the material.
They will be, I mean, the study material will be uploaded gradually, or you will?
Gradually.
So for one session, you will have enough to go through.
All right. Thank you so much.
There are no assignments. There's another question about assignments. There are no ongoing assignments as such. The on-site class.
But paper 5 would be a dissertation.
Yes.
Yeah, with regard to student ID, it will be sent along with the study material itself.
Okay. I think we've reached the end of the webinar. If, like I said, if you have any additional questions, please continue to write to us. I will take this opportunity to specially thank Professor Ramakrishna for being here with us and being so patient with all the queries and taking us through the course in such great detail. Thank you, Professor Ramakrishna. I would also like to thank all of you who made the time. We hope to see most of you, if not all of you, as a part of this year's cohort. So please keep in touch and let us know if we can help you in any way for you to make your decision or to clarify any of your doubts. Let me also thank my colleague, Ms. Sushila Suresh, who has been here, and my colleagues, Satya and Lingaraj, who are anchoring this from behind the scenes. Thank you to both of them. And I wish you a great week. Please take care of yourselves and be safe.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.